So COVID happened in between that, and I guess you could argue that was quite a big turning point, yes, in your career almost. Um, if you want to explain how that whole situation kind of came around and where your head was at.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So obviously, COVID hit sort of out of nowhere. We travelled up to Newcastle. We were playing them away, and it was like that week where everyone was like, "Oh, I think like the rumours of lockdown started, and people were like, what the hell's lockdown?" We were on a bus, like 35 of us on a jolly up to Newcastle. A few lads had a cough, and we were like, "Is this play on?" Um, I think a few games got cancelled. Blah blah blah. Went up there. That's actually another great story. Went up there, played in front of like 4 or 5 thousand people. Like we got pumped 44-0. At the end, the lads up there wouldn't shake our hands because of COVID. I was like, we've literally just played a game for 8 minutes, so like started doing like elbows. Um, and then they weren't allowed out, but we were like, well, we're going out. So we all went out. Like some of our parents came out and everything. We're in the bar. Like I've only been up to Newcastle a couple of times, but I've never seen it that busy. It turned into basically our end of season. I think we got in like God knows what time. Got the coach back again. Everyone like coughing, sputtering. Then on the Tuesday we went into lockdown, or Wednesday. So it was literally like unofficial end of season class. Everyone all right, sweet, crack on. And then obviously, as you know, the champ didn't start for best part of a year. Probably was it in the end.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So we just sort of Bedford were like, we can't start without crowd. You're all on furlough. Uh, just till we hear more, basically. And at that point, we were going like 2 weeks at a time without news. So we had about maybe a couple months off, and like lads were doing their daily exercise and stuff. And I was like, I can't see the end of this. I'm getting bored already. So I spoke to Ashy, who's the groundsman at the club, who had a landscaping garden business. And I was like, mate, do you just need any help? Like, he worked the whole way through because he's outdoors. Um, I was like, I'm gonna go insane. Like, if you need any help, let me know. About a week later, he's like, oh, I've got a big job starting. France coming down. Went down. It was like 30 degrees. We were tops off, doing this whole garden. Did that for I think about a week probably. I didn't even know if he was going to pay me anything. At the end of the week, paid me. I was like, "Cool, that was class." Like, good group of boys. Enjoyed that, and then just sort of spitballed into. He was like, "Oh, we're busy. Everyone's got loads of work. Come down, like, just basically help us out 5 days a week type thing." So got stuck into that, and after about 6 months, we were still doing sort of optional training in the evening at Bedford because they were like, "Look, you guys go out and get work, do whatever you can. You're on furlough, but we can't top it up to the extra 20% or whatever it was." So to be fair to the lads, pretty much everyone had a job by then. So yeah, I was doing that 5 days a week, training sort of. We were just doing like touch rugby, con games in the evening. And I said to Ashley, because I was also going to have to pay like tax and stuff, I was like, I may as well just set up my own little thing here, and just whatever happens, if it doesn't take off, it doesn't take off. And then he was sort of wanting to retire. So, I was fortunate that I was born in Bedford, parents still live there. I was captain at the time. So like business started to come in pretty easily because, word of mouth spread and stuff like that. And I think it was 4 or 5 of the lads, the other rugby lads, that were sort of like looking around for work. I was like, oh, come crack on with us. Like, it's a bit gritty, your lower back will hurt, but we'll have a laugh doing it. Um, so yeah, did that for best part of 3 years really. Like, even when we went back, we had a big meeting with Bedford, and I think they wanted to go like a full-time, part-time, weird little hybrid. So we sort of got together as players, and we were like, look, everyone's got jobs, like proper careers they want to get into. We'd all probably have to leave Bedford if they stick with this schedule, because we just can't. You know what it was like. They've tried to offer pay cuts because of COVID, and now lads are suddenly like, well, I can pretty much double my salary by doing them together. So
Mm.
why wouldn't I just get to Nat One and do that where they've got that model sort of nailed down? So yeah, a bit of back and forth. And to be fair to the club, they were like, actually, we get you, like, we understand. Because my argument to them was, you can pay lads a bit less, but they'll be earning more. So ultimately, they're happier, and they were working towards life after rugby anyway. So you're going to have like a great environment where everyone's happy, really. Um, and yeah, Mike, to be fair, came round to it, was class, and I'm pretty sure they're still doing the exact same sort of model now. So yeah, I was like fully headfirst into that until old Paul Larkin rang from Bristol, let me know that Charles was injured and to sort of stay ready. And then Pat rang, and I fought it for a good couple of weeks, to be fair, because I'd sort of got to the point where I'd made peace with sort of not going back to the Prem. I was not even thinking about it. I was loving the balance of playing rugby with my mates to like a serious level, but not serious enough that you can't just have a beer and enjoy it, and also working. So yeah, sort of. I say unfortunately, I guess ultimately I would have probably would have regretted if I hadn't come back to this environment and at least given it one more shot. Um, so yeah, for the moment, sort of had to put the business on the back burner because obviously it was pretty full on here. We just don't have the time to do sort of labouring and things like that. But yeah, that few years has given me a massive sort of focus and awareness of exactly what I want to get stuck into after rugby, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What would you? What? How hard did you have to fight it to not say that you'll go to Bristol? You know what I mean? How? Like, what was the main reasoning behind that? Obviously, the work and having a balance was great. But like you said, was it just purely the fact you'd made peace with not going back to the Premiership? Was it really hard to fight? If you understand what I'm trying to say, or was it quite an
Yeah.
easy decision?
No, I think you know as well as anyone. Sort of, I know you only did a year. Well, you were there before, but you only did a year in Bedford. But it's a tough place to leave, especially when you're playing and enjoying it and sort of happy with where. I think if it had just been rugby and I hadn't had work, if it had just been we hadn't had COVID, I was still at Bedford. We were still like sort of full time, and then Bristol came along. I think it would have been an easier decision to be like, okay, yeah, I'm still fully rugby. That's an unbelievable opportunity. Um, I just think for me, in that 3 years, I very much was like on my way on the transition to be like, I could, I could do another couple of years at Bedford, and then I could very comfortably, sort of easily transition straight into sort of full work. And so I guess in my head, it was like, if I go to Bristol and I can't do it on the side, am I having a good 2 years or whatever here, but am I setting myself back 2 years in terms of my learning and stuff for life after rugby? And I've never wanted to sort of finish and then you have a massive drop off. Well, not very big for me, lol. Of like earnings, and then like build yourself up again. I think where we were at Bedford was like a very much a natural, nice movement of, we can play until the body has had enough or whatever, and move straight away. And I think ultimately, if it hadn't been for sort of Kizzy being down here and we wanting to move back down here, I don't think I would have signed for a, another Prem club in a different location. Not that I had an offer, but you know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Sort of fitted with our grand plan, if you like.